So, what the hell's going on in British politics? Some crazy things. So, I thought I'll have a look at the charts. I'm just wondering whether this is the end of the Conservative Party because it's just gone mental. I mean, I just don't understand. I think Liz Truss has been Prime Minister for 44 days and now they're all scrambling to put someone else in, but then why didn't they put them in the first place? So it just seems like a bit of a regime change type thing, a bit of a coup. And also there's talk of Boris coming back. What the hell? So I thought, well, we can look at his chart. We can look at the Conservative Party's chart. So the Conservative Party chart, its natal chart is interesting because, it's midheaven is Betelgeuse, which is a bit of a warmongering star, and but it's the divine masculine as well. So the kings, also the moon in Cancer with Mars as well. It's very patriotic, and it's a patriarchal type of party. The sun on the IC as well, so it's all about conserving the roots and the country, but it's kind of not doing that now. And I mean, it's lost its kind of direction completely. And what's also interesting is there's a square between Ceres and Uranus, which I think is going on at the moment. Yes, the radical farmers. I think that's part of the T-square with Saturn. Yeah, let me have a look. Hang on. What's going on now? What is the chart now? Sky now. Right, okay. Uranus at 17 degrees of Taurus and Saturn at 18 degrees of Aquarius. So yeah, it's plugging into the Conservative Party's chart. Now, I'm really annoyed because my PC is downstairs, and so all my solar fire stuff is downstairs. So I can't make it move while I'm recording. So instead I have to just look at still charts, but it's annoying because the program I have upstairs does not precess, and it's really important to precess because you'll see that at the moment, we look at let's have a look. So if we look at the UK chart now, you can see that Saturn is at 18 degrees of Aquarius, and the Venus in the UK chart is at 16. So it looks like that transit from Saturn has already happened. But once you do the precess, it actually hasn't even happened yet. And what's really interesting too is that, Saturn's been going retrograde, and now it goes direct. When does it go direct? Hang on, get the ephemerist. I think it's tomorrow. It's in the next few days. Yes, Uranus goes direct on the 23rd. Today, as I'm doing this. So, Saturn went retrograde on the 5th of June. And I don't know when things started going a bit haywire in the UK, but what does this Saturn on the UK Venus mean? Because it's in the 5th house, and it's the women, English women, but it's also the ruler of the 8th house of the underworld, bankers. It's the financial people. It's finance, because the finance basically just did a loopy. The reason that we're getting rid of Liz Truss and the other guy, the Chancellor, was because they did some budget and it was basically spend, and the markets went loopy because because it's just going to add to inflation. So they said, no, you can't do that. It's funny because, some people can borrow money, I mean, Biden doesn't seem to have a problem with that. And also before And the amount of money that's gone to Ukraine, no problem getting into debt for that. But when it comes to, helping out the British people with their gas bills, no. So it depends. That it's the hidden hands of Pluto and the bankers who are controlling everything. And it's interesting in the UK chart that they have a yod to Pluto as well. And I know in Brexit, the Brexit vote, Pluto was the big thing. Pluto was the big... it was the thing that made me wonder whether it was going to happen, because I just thought there'd be such propaganda that and there was, they tried everything, including a Labour MP who got shot by a sort of far-right person or a neo-Nazi person. And that's still, the vote still went through. So that's kind of interesting, the Pluto influence. But at the moment, there is the Saturn on the UK Venus, which rules the 8th house of bankers, lending, basically Saturn is saying, no more. And it's like the austerity measures as well. So no more lending, no more spending, basically. Oh, yes, and Venus also rules the UK ascendant. So the UK is going to look really very, very different after Saturn has finished that transit. But I could... No, see, I can't even see when it's going to end. But all I'm saying is it's not happened yet. And I would imagine that it's going to be, I suppose, early next year. I think maybe that's when there's going to be an election. If we're doing it by precession, I think, because I don't think it's happened yet. I really don't. So, Saturn on Venus. Venus is money. And also the 5th house is kind of leisure and love and fun. It's the house of fun, and Saturn's just putting a big old on it. So no more fun in the UK. No more travel, no more holidays, no more luxuries. It's just going to be austerity. Anyway, so now, interestingly, the Conservative Party, like the UK chart, has Venus in the 5th house, and it's ruled by a Saturn ruled sign as well. But the Conservative Party has Venus retrograde. It's very sort of no sex, we're British type thing. Very reserved in that way. But let's see its transits, because I didn't actually have a look at that precess. I'm just going to have to do it like everybody else does it and see if I can figure it out. The thing is, you see, the older the chart is, the more precession works, because the older it is, the further back things go, because it's all adjusted. Whereas it's not so bad when I look at people who are sort of like, 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds, because it doesn't affect it so much. But anything that's like 100 years or more is like really a big deal. So let's have a look at... Okay, this is interesting, because I was thinking there's nothing happening. What's happening? But there is. Okay, Conservative Party chart. Mars retrograde just before Halloween, and it will go retrograde at 25 degrees of Gemini. So it's going to be... it won't get quite to 26 degrees of the midheaven of the Conservative Party, but it's near enough. So to me, it's like it's saying, oh, it's going to be the end, because Mars can destroy things, it's the destroyer. But it's also, I think it's the media as well, because the media Gemini is the media too. And so the Conservative Party, they've got, their 10th house is Gemini. They have the North Node up there. They've also got Jupiter there too. What's their midheaven star? Exactly, Betelgeuse. Exactly. So that's going to be interesting. I think when Mars, you see, Beetlejuice, I think someone who sums up Beetlejuice's energy quite well in some kind of way. It's like the fat Elvis. It's like the overblown. It's when the divine masculine goes a bit too far. And, I know Boris is a bit of a clown at times, but he's got that. He's not girly, is he? He's very much a kind of base, kind of masculine figure. And pretty sexist, I would imagine, as a husband, whatever. But but he's quite Beetlejuicy, and so I don't know, the blustering Beetlejuice. It does make me think, Mars retrograde, people coming back. It could be that he comes back, and I think his chart, has he got anything on Beetlejuice? Because I know he's a Gemini. So Boris, where's your chart, Boris? What has he got? He's got his sun on Beetlejuice. Insane. Okay. So, you see, either it's like, get rid of him for good. I don't think Mars ever got to, did it get to 20? No. It's been all the way through Gemini, but it hadn't got to Beetlejuice yet. So it's weird. It like sort of gets just nearly there. In a way, it's like they're almost going to chop his head off, and then they don't. So I wonder. And it's also, the Conservative Party. So isn't it weird that Boris Johnson has his son on the Conservative Party's midheaven? It's like he embodies that Beetlejuice. He's such a Tory boy. He really is. I mean, he went to Eton and all that kind of stuff. But he does remind me of, there used to be this really funny comedy in the UK. I think it was called, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about a Tory politician, and he was called Alan Bastard MP. Like B'*starred, Alan Bastard. So, he was just a really obnoxious, typical snooty kind of Tory, the stereotype of a Tory politician, looking down at the peasants and, spitting on them and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what to make of that. I do think that when Mars actually does, we have to wait till 2023 for Mars. Jesus, I didn't realise it was so. I knew it was going to be 7 months in Gemini, but I didn't realise it took us into April of next year. No, March. Sorry. March next year. I mean, maybe that could be when there's an election, and maybe that's when the Conservative Party get demolished. But whether it's by Labour, I don't know. Because I was thinking, I think I'd rather see the Conservative Party destroyed, because they are not what they're not doing anything. They're just being the worst party ever. And oh yes, they're not even being conservative, because they actually let in more immigrants last year, 1 million, than Tony Blair ever did. So who do we think is going to replace Liz Truss then? See, the problem is we don't have the time for Rishi Sunak, who is probably the strongest contender. He hasn't really put a foot wrong, and people feel they can trust him with the economy because he's been the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And but the thing is, I don't know whether he'll want to be the fall guy, because I just think, the UK economy is tanking anyway. And does he want to be the Prime Minister who went down with the bloody Titanic? So that's why I don't think, that's why they're pulling out all these weirdo people like Liz Truss, who no one ever heard of. But Rishi Sunak has got a reputation. He's absolutely stinking rich, apparently. He's richer than Boris. He's got a house that he just has for people, guests that he puts up. Oh, you can have a house, not a spare room. He's just got a whole house in London. Anyway, so his chart, is it worth even looking at? Interestingly, yeah, it does have the sun opposite Uranus. He's got, that's also interesting because there's this theme again coming up, this Uranus opposite Ceres, and again it's in the fixed signs. His sun's on Capulus, which is the vampire slayer. His Venus is on Betelgeuse. So another one, like, wow. So maybe that's a contender. Maybe that's a sign. Like, if you've got something on Betelgeuse, you're going to be a prime minister. I haven't gone and looked at the past, but past prime ministers. But that will be an interesting thing. See what he's got. He hasn't really. Mars retrograde will go over his Venus at some point. Which is of course Betelgeuse. But Saturn is separating from a square from his sun. But when it starts picking up speed and squares his sun, will be... You see, that could be promotion. And that's December. So, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to become... I don't know. I mean, let's see. Wait a minute. Let's see the transits for the 28th of October, because that's when it's going to be decided. So, anything big. Neptune is sextile his sun. It's impossible to tell, actually, because I really don't like doing charts without times, you know. Pluto 26, that's trine his Ceres. His Ceres is on Algol. I mean, is he a green agenda person? I don't know. Is that? I mean, this is what we want to see. Is it because he would be better for the green reset thing? You know. I don't know. He's got quite an amazing... I mean, it would be an interesting chart if we knew what the ascendant was. But there's a T-square anyway to the nodes. I don't know about Rishi Sunak. Let's see Keir Starmer, because he is the Labour one. And do we think that we're going to go Labour? Do we think we're going to have an election soon? Again... I don't bloody know. It's just too odd. So again, we don't know the time for Keir Starmer either. Ooh, he has got Sun Pluto conjunction on Zosma, which is kind of victim saviour. So is he going to be this big saviour of England? You know, I'll come in and save everything. But I just don't like him because he wanted even tougher lockdowns, and he it would just get much more authoritarian with him. I know it sounds nuts, isn't it, with Labour, but he's more on the kind of Blairite side. I know that there's the loony left, which is, you know, people like, I don't know, Jeremy Corbyn. I think I prefer Jeremy Corbyn than Keir Starmer, because I think Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't be... I couldn't see him sort of agreeing with the war, really. And I think Keir Starmer will, you know, he'll just do a Tony Blair. Yes, they had weapons of mass destruction and distraction. Yeah, they are. He'll fall in with whatever Biden does. Now, as for his transits, again, I mean, really, we can only really look at so we don't really know his moon. I mean, his sun, if there's anything going to his sun, well, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, Ceres has been on his sun, which is kind of the green issue. So maybe he's been blessed with the green. He's got the green seal of approval. I was just thinking, you know, is Jupiter doing anything? Jupiter will be opposing his Mercury. But you see, again, we don't know what Mercury rules either. So I wouldn't like to guess. I mean, I don't know why I did this really. I just thought there may be something. Yeah, I mean, any transit to his son Pluto would have been interesting, I think. But I don't think we have anything doing that. I don't know. I have a sneaky feeling because the only person that had sort of transits really was Boris Johnson, because he's got Sun and Venus on Betelgeuse. I mean, it seems crazy, doesn't it? I mean, I think it would make sense because then Labour can really, really kind of go for him, go for the jugular. For some, you see, the thing is with Boris, I don't know. He seems to be, the globalists don't seem to like him. But at the same time, he didn't really do anything controversial when he was in office anyway. So I don't know why they got rid of him. The only reason I think it is so they can get Starmer in and go full on the war, which is just going to cripple us financially. It's just going to cripple England totally. Yeah. So the transits to the UK chart. Yeah, I just think that Saturn on Venus is grim, really. It's sad. It's I don't know. But it's kind of not the end of... No, it's not doing anything, really. Uranus to Venus. Again, it's Venus that's getting done by things. If we don't use precession, Uranus is coming to square... Yeah, it will in November. It's going to square. So that's change. The banks, it's changed from the banks because it's coming from the 8th house. So it's the banks that want to change things. They want to change this Venus. They want to change this money. They want to put a stop to travel and leisure time and all the fun, really. So no more fun, England. And that's it. So I don't really know if there's anything else to say about this, apart from I need to get a new computer because I can't work with these weirdo charts. I just want my solar fire back upstairs again. I do my readings downstairs with it, but... So, what do I think then? I think this... Well, yes... It's hard to make a prediction because I didn't know the times for Rishi or Keir Starmer, although he's for Labour, so he's, but I just thought we'll see if he's likely to be Prime Minister, because they could just get so messed up that they choose someone and then it's like, or they choose Boris and everybody goes crazy because we can't have Boris again, he messed up last time, blah, blah, blah. Let's have an election. It might be that. It might be that Boris becomes the fall guy. He's got some interesting transits to make for that, and yeah, maybe that's what they're planning to do. But without knowing Keir Starmer's actual birth time, which we probably will know once if he becomes kind of famous, they usually bring it up. But at the moment we don't have it, so we don't know if he's going to be a future Prime Minister. But it looks like, I mean, his chart without even the time is quite an interesting one with, Sun with Pluto. To me, that's a kind of omen. He's like, there's also Uranus on the other side of it, almost. So he's kind of this kind of revolutionary plutocrat. Yeah, and he's also got Mars trine Jupiter as well, which is very feisty. I don't know, I haven't watched any of his speeches, but he's also got Mercury trine Saturn, which should be good at speaking or, authoritative words. So I don't know. I wouldn't like to see him, but then I think that the Tories have been so bad that they deserve to lose. But I would like another party coming through. You see, what I was kind of hoping... I mean, in the UK chart, Do we think that Uranus square Venus could be a change in terms of method of voting if we go to proportional representation like they do in Europe? Because then that would let in a third party. Then we could have a Nigel Farage, couldn't we? Or, you know, a populist party. Because at the moment, the people running the show are the neocons from both bloody parties. Because to me, Keir Starmer's a neocon, and Tony Blair was, and so is most of the Tory party, or the only ones that they're letting have some power anyway. The old style Conservatives are, you know, they get rid of them, which I think, you know, Boris is one, the Brexiteers. So maybe this Uranus, but I for me it looks like it's the bankers, because it's in the 8th house of the bankers, and it looks like they're trying to, you know, they're messing with the economy, and they can do that. They can. Yeah, it's regime change by throwing the markets into a big panic every time somebody comes in that they don't like, you know. And then it's like, oh, see, oh dear, oh, the pound's fallen because of Boris or whoever. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. Ooh, bit of thunder there. Take care. Bye-bye.